This is a podcast from The John Gambling Show on News Talk Radio 710 WOR. Log on to WOR710.com for more information.
This is The John Gambling Show.
The John Gambling Show.
On News Talk Radio 710 WOR.
If you leave this room after seeing this film and walk out and never mention Scientology again, you are perfectly free to do so. It would be stupid, but you can do it. You can also dive off a bridge or blow your brains out. That is your choice. But if you don't walk out that way, if you continue with Scientology, we will be very happy with you, and you will be very happy with you. You will have proven that you are a friend of yours.
That is the beginning of an orientation tape for Scientology done, I think, somewhere in the middle 90s by Larry Anderson, a member of the Scientology Church, an actor out in California. Good morning, everybody. 11 minutes after 7 o'clock here in New York City. I say that because Larry Anderson is on our telephone from California, and he is up mighty early on this one. Larry is an actor, has been for some 30 years. He's been Mork and Mindy, Desperate Housewives, a game show host. I mean, he's Hollywood. Larry, good morning.
Good morning, John. Thanks for having me. And yes, it is a little early here.
Yeah, it is. Well, I appreciate it very much. I don't know very much about Scientology at all, so I'm kind of really interested in this. I've seen Tom Cruise jump up and down on Oprah's couch. I read the Travolta stuff around, but that's about it. How did you get involved with Scientology?
Well, as a fellow who recently transplanted from Minnesota to California, I was out here looking to get myself into show business. I mean, I was actually a professional magician of all things, and I was out here working in the field of magic, and was performing at a big rap party for Paul McCartney and all of his guests after one of the Wings tours that had gone worldwide, and I was performing for all these celebrities, and afterwards, mingling with all the guests, somebody approached me and said, "Boy, that was a great show, what are your goals in life?" And I thought that was a fairly philosophical question at a party, so I said, well, I'm out here in Hollywood, and I was looking into maybe get into acting, and they said, well, you should take a course at this place I know in town called the Communication Course, and it teaches you all about communication, and seeing as how communication is all the basis of acting, it might be really good for you. Well, it sort of piqued my interest, and lo and behold, cut to, a week later, I'm at a Church of Scientology signing up for a course called the Communications Course, and that's kind of how I was first introduced to it. I had no idea it was Scientology, but it was all about, learning about how to master this art of communication.
How long between that and learning that this was Scientology that you were involved with?
Oh, that day.
Okay.
It was hard to not tell when you were walking in the front door it was the Church of Scientology, but I knew nothing about Scientology at that point. This was the mid-'70s.
All right, but you obviously embraced this big time.
Oh, yeah, I guess when you put 30 years of your life into it, it's pretty much a commitment, and you could say that's embracing it big time. Yeah, there were some things that I found useful, and they were tools like how to master communication, or at least improve your skills at communication, and many other things that are not very spiritually related, but things that Hubbard had sort of gleaned from many other schools of thought and kind of put his own spin on, and then repackaged it and called it Scientology, and they were fairly useful. It was sort of, I look at it as kind of the bait that brought me in, and then as I began to want to know more about the spiritual angle, I took some courses and began to sort of my quest on this thing they call the bridge to total spiritual freedom, and it's a series of steps where each step is supposed to give you more and more enlightenment about your nature as a spiritual being in a physical body.
Do Scientologists believe in God?
Yes, but they don't define God in any way, shape, or form. They just acknowledge that there is a supreme sort of prime mover, creator of the universe, So this is kind of the concept that if you are a supreme being and there is a divine force here, that qualifies it as a religion, and therefore ultimately they applied for a tax-free status and got it.
Why do you think this applies or appeals is the word I'm looking for, appeals to those in Hollywood like yourself?
Well, I don't know that necessarily people in Hollywood are different than people anywhere else, other than that they're in a very different profession. But I think it appeals to people, maybe artists a lot, because I think through time artists have always sort of pondered the nature of man. Why are we here, as many people do, and they just have a lot of churches out here, and they promote very heavily to artists because Hubbard knew the value of the public relations value of having people who can influence masses of people. So he set out to really get artists involved in Scientology so that it could spread through their sort of control of the medium, and the fact that they're what he calls opinion leaders. They have tremendous sway and influence on the general public. So,
all right, they also have a lot of money, and I gather that every church or most churches have tithing and expect the parishioners to contribute to the running of the church. Scientology is no different, except for maybe the values, and this is where you kind of got the disconnect, right?
Yeah, as you said, most have tithing, but unlike the Church of Scientology, they have set fees. They are fees. They like to call them donations because it fits more nicely with the tax-exempt status they have. But they are set fees for set services, and it's run very much like a business. And now, all these years later, I really, with my exposure to the inner workings of the management and my disappointment with the spiritual enlightenment that I was supposed to get at each of these levels, I began to really look at this as more of a money machine in a business and really have my eyes open to.
So are you more enlightened today than you were in the 70s when you started?
Boy, yeah, in more ways than one. Certainly, I've one of the interesting things about these fees for the services is another thing that makes it very much like a business, is you can get some deep discounts on these very, very expensive services, which encourages people then to buy a package, because that's when you get the bigger discounts. So,
you mean you can buy your way into Scientology heaven?
Oh, yes, you can absolutely buy spiritual enlightenment at the Church of Scientology. And so I put a lot of money down at a time when I was much more flush than other times, with the acting career going up and down. That's the nature of our business. I had a couple series, so I had some good money, and I bought all these levels of the bridge, and now I've only received about half of those services and decided I don't want to go on with the rest of them. And the church has a policy that if you haven't used the money on that you have on your account, everybody has an account at the Church of Scientology, then all you need to do is ask for that money back, and their policy is that they will refund it. It's not services I've gotten yet. It's just my money sitting there gaining interest for the Church of Scientology, and they just don't seem to want to give it back and follow policy. So.